Mets are heading into the final series of the year at home, heading into that stretch, going into the postseason, riding young pitching, and Jonah Tong had a bounce-back game that had all of the fans at Citi Field Thursday afternoon on their feet.
Vito, I cannot say enough about the job done by the Mets player development staff with guys like Jonah Tong, with guys like Noah McLean, with guys like Brandon Sproat. Three guys that have come up in the middle of a pennant race, and they have delivered, all with different, unique weapons, but they are all ready to take on major league lineups the way we have seen. Those three guys, plus the rest of the starting options, plus this offense, plus the bullpen, they are ready. It's a huge weekend coming up against the Nationals. The Mets are in a good spot. Now, they've got to go get it done, and the Mets fans are going to be out in full support of this team. October baseball, we need it.
Welcome to Meet at the Apple, presented by PC Richard & Son. I'm Vito Calisi, that's Jonathan Barron, and before we start up this fired up, hyped up episode, I'm going to remind you guys, please, rate, review, 5 stars. 5 stars goes such a long way. Write it out, type it out, give us a nice little thing. You want more interviews, you want more content, help grow the show, help us out. But I got a text from my wife, John.
Ooh.
She said, "Are you fully in on the Mets right now?"
Ooh.
And I said, hell yeah.
Hey, man, I think I likened what's going on in Mets world in our lives to the stock market. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down.
You did.
And now we've got a rise in the stock market because the Mets take 2 of 3 from a good Padre team, a team that is going to be playing playoff baseball, a team that I know many people might not want to see necessarily in the first round, that's given the Mets some problems over the years. But the Mets did the job and they played very well. And there were a lot of things to like from this 3-game series with the Padres. Taking 2 out of 3, you can make the argument, you subtract 1 swing. I know it happened. But you subtract the Manny Machado swing, and perhaps the Mets sweep this 3-game series. So the negativity, the positivity, the negativity, the positivity. Here's the fact. The Mets right now are in a good spot. What does that mean? Really nothing in the grand scheme of things. They need to take care of their business. But all you can ask for at this stage, right? We've been through so much in the last 3+ months.
Yeah.
So many emotions on both ends of the spectrum. All we want, I said it a couple episodes ago when talking about the kind of an impact that a Juan Soto makes in October. And I said, I just need to watch this guy and this lineup in October because this is a dangerous team. Brandon Nimmo has said, standing at his locker, no matter how many consecutive losses the Mets have suffered, how bad it had been, no one wants to see us in the playoffs. Because this team is dangerous. It is. It is a dangerous ball club. And they showed it this week. And now you got 9 games left. You got 9 games left. You just got to get the ball in the end zone. That's it.
Yeah, John, it goes back to what Brandon Nimmo said to us in, I think it was like April. April. Nobody wants to play. Everybody wants to beat the big bad Mets. And I truly feel, and I've said this all year, and I'm not just saying this, I do think this team is a playoff behemoth. I think this team is built for the playoffs. I think this team is built in a way where you can mix and match. You can see this Clay Holmes and Minaya thing that we'll talk about in a few minutes, but you can see some interesting combos like this in a playoff series. Last year, you had David Peterson as a reliever. The playoffs are a time where you can move, you can have different combinations of pitchers, and this offense, since August, has been one of the best offenses we've ever seen. And then you want to go to the record. One of the worst years of our lives as fans was 2006. What was that St. Louis Cardinals record going into the playoffs that year?
Cardinals were 83-79 that year. And I've said this before. I credit Mike Vaccaro, the great New York Post columnist, for pointing this out. I think during the second of the 7+ game losing streaks for the Mets, that the St. Louis Cardinals in 06 also had multiple losing streaks of 7+ games. Now the Mets have had a couple 7-game winning streaks. They've had 3 of 7 or more, the last one being 8. So that goes into the incredible ups and downs. But part of me thinks that, and we talk about this with young players, minor leaguers, guys that come up, and the almost need for failure. And I had a conversation with somebody a couple days ago who is involved in Mets player development, talking about failure and how guys are programmed differently based on the experiences that they've had. So let's say it's a minor league player. Let's say you give him a taste of AAA. He's crushed AA all year long. He goes to AAA and he really struggles. He goes back home and he knows the bar, what he needs to become, what he needs to match. A baseball team, especially a Major League Baseball team that has been knocked down, that has seen the tendencies, what makes us the worst versions of ourselves. Well, now we know. Now you know what you can't do. Now you know the things you need to do. And this Mets team has a lot of great traits about it. I think that the ability for this Mets team, 1 through 9, to steal a base. Yeah. Really, there's like no one on the roster that can't steal a base in a good spot. These guys position themselves well. They are very, very well-versed in scouting other teams' moves, timing-wise. Juan Soto has 33 stolen bases this year.
Is he going to go 40-40?
He's got to pull off 7 to 9 games. We'll see.
We saw tonight. He's going to go for it.
Alonso fouled off like 3 pitches.
I thought he kept.
and then he finally got his stolen base after Pete drove in a run with the sac fly. But every 90 feet in the postseason matters. You remember Game 5 of the NLDS in 2015? We remember Daniel Murphy telling us the story about the sac fly and him going first to third. Every 90 feet matters. This Mets team is very aggressive and very successful at stealing bases. That is going to help them immensely. You talked about the ability for teams to shrink the amount of guys that you use in the bullpen and get more creative. The 2019 Washington Nationals had a bad bullpen. They got creative with how they use their pitchers because it's a short series. And at the end of each series, you could re-roster guys. And they were creative and they won it all. The Detroit Tigers in 2024 had pretty much one starting pitcher. That was it. And that Detroit Tigers team went on the road, went to Houston, and beat the Astros in the wild card round, and then went to Cleveland, lost in 5. But we're still on the precipice of an ALCS berth. So we also know this team has game wreckers. Today, on, I don't like saying the day of the week, on Thursday, who wrecked the game for the Mets?
Brandon Nimmo.
What did he do?
He had a 3-run home run.
He had a 3-run home run. That's game wrecking. That's game wrecking. And we know people talk about, oh, well, the Mets all year, bad with RISP. Well, guess what? You got RISP. They've had a ton of at-bats with RISP, a top 10 mark in the league, hitting the chances with RISP. You want to make the other pitcher throw a lot of pitches, throw high-stress pitches, see his arsenal, see what he's throwing you. And as we always talk about, the ins and outs of hitting with RISP, it fluctuates over the year. Mm-hmm. Yes, there might be a bit of a skill, but it all evens out. So those are things that make this Mets team incredibly, incredibly dangerous. You just got to get there. And Tuesday through Thursday was a very good step in that direction.
All you got to do is get hot at the right time. And we've been saying that all year. And if you had to pick, get hot, look at 2022. 2022 and this year are a good kind of comparison to each other, right? You had a 2022 team that was hot the whole first half into even the beginning of the second half. And then things started to get rough towards the end of the year. If this team stays hot right now going into the playoffs, they, like I said before, are an absolute wrecking machine. Like you said, RISP, since August, we have seen this Mets team, and the record doesn't even show it. The record doesn't show it because there were some problems that the team did figure out. Rotation problems the team figured out, bullpen problems the team figured out. This is the kind of thing that if you carry that into the playoffs, this team might not be stoppable. I am so confident in this team once things go to October, and I feel so good watching them figure things out because game 2, that's usually a game where you go home and you're like, that's it. Feels like a nail in the coffin sometimes of this late in the year losing games like that, but it didn't feel like that. It felt very different because it felt like you said, David Peterson was one bad pitch. And the offense was back to that thing that we saw early in the year when the team was hot, where even games they lost, they had that winning run on base late in the game. They had that tying run on base late in the game. Juan Soto was, for the third time this year, 6 inches away from tying things up.
The Mets had 4 home runs in that Wednesday loss. The problem was all of them came with nobody on base, which obviously that's very important. The Mets need to continue to put guys on base, create base traffic, steal bases, be aggressive, make the other team play on their heels. The Padres had 2 home runs on Wednesday night. One of them was a solo shot by Ramon Laureano to extend their lead to 3 in the 9th inning. The other was a grand slam. You hit a 3-run home run, you hit a grand slam, your chances of winning the game increase exponentially. So, yes, the Mets, I think the 2022 comparison, I almost in a weird way like this scenario better.
Yeah.
Because that team at that time, going into Atlanta, last 6 games of the year, had a chance to win the division. Got swept. The Braves, 2 nights later, clinch in Miami. And you could just feel, whether we wanted to acknowledge it or not,
Tombstone.
You could feel the air out of the balloon. It was not what anybody wanted. It was kind of a collapse based on how big the lead was in August in the division. Right now, I almost feel like it's better that the Phillies clinched the division on September 16th. Congrats, Phillies. Good job. Just like last year. NL East champions. Very good ball club. Lots of star power on that team. Good stuff. The Mets know exactly what scenario they're looking at. They're going to be playing in the wild card round. We've seen this new format. It is not always advantageous to have the time off. Last year was the first time since the new format came into play where both league representatives in the World Series were division winners. Happened to be the Yankees and the Dodgers, the two of the behemoths when it comes to payroll and a lot of other factors in baseball. The year before that, the Rangers and the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
The year before that, the Philadelphia Phillies went on a Cinderella run to the World Series. And that's the new format. So I'm not saying, hey, you don't want to win the division. Like, of course you do. But it can be a positive. And no matter who the Mets get in the first round, we keep saying this. Every team in baseball, I don't remember a year where it's been like, man, I can't look at a team and say that's a really, really well-rounded team that has 0 flaws. The LA Dodgers, who if the playoffs started today, the Mets are playing in round 1. That bullpen has struggled immensely. Everyone saw Blake Snell, the look on his face when Dave Roberts went out to the mound to go. What Roberts wanted to do was lift him in the 7th inning on Wednesday night because the Dodger bullpen has struggled. And I'm not saying it's going to always struggle, but it struggled a lot. Mm-hmm. The Phillies have a fatal flaw. It's swing and miss. They've lost Zach Wheeler.
Yeah.
You show me another team that's lost an ace, a meaningful impact pitcher like him, as late in the season as they did. That's a bad time to lose a guy like Zach Wheeler. No matter what team you show me, the Cubs have been poor since the All-Star break. It doesn't matter who it is. The Padres have not played that well since the All-Star break, since the trade deadline. Everyone's got problems.
I love that we're playing the Cubs next week. Like, I love and I hate it. Like, I know that I've seen some bad games at Wrigley Field as a fan. Seen some good games as a fan of Wrigley Field too. But it reminds me of last year where as bad as that Milwaukee Brewers series went at the end of the year last year, it kind of felt good also to just get an eye on what you were going up against and see what the challenge was going to be. And then you go across town and then the Mets were able to beat the Brewers. But I feel like you said, would you rather get hot in the middle of the year or would you rather get hot at the end and then go right into the wild card? That helped this team last year. This team getting so hot at the end of the season. Dude, I was thinking about this today as I was driving in. Thinking about how when we did our last interview with Mendoza last year, we had no idea if this team was going to the playoffs. Mendoza said to us, this isn't our last interview. I'm going to see you guys in a few weeks. And if you remember, that was like a big deal for him to say because there was no guarantee. I don't even think we were in a wild card spot at that point.
No, I mean, the schedule is the same as it is this year. The Mets are having their last home game the Sunday, the week before the season ends.
Yeah.
They're going on the road for 6 games, 3 in Chicago, 3 in Milwaukee, 3 in Miami. Last year was 3 in Atlanta, 3 in Milwaukee. Mother Nature didn't cooperate, so we all know what happened. But same exact layout where we're going to play our last home game on Sunday against the Nationals. And then we're going to see, and for us internally, we have a game day staff that's seasonal that we all watch 80 games together. And, you guys come to Citi Field. You guys see all the great staff here, whether it's the hospitality staff, security, the concession stands. There's so many people that we, throughout the season, it's a family here at Citi Field. That's what being a Met fan is all about. You leave here and you don't know if it's the last time. We're going to go watch some road games and see if it is. And that's crazy. But
dude, a personal thing, so I have a 4-month-old, right? We don't have daycare until January. my wife starts work. My wife.
Oh, she's going back.
She goes back. She goes back the 29th.
Oh, come on, Mets. Come on, Mets. I mean, what's this guy gonna do?
She goes back to 29th, and we just had conversations of we don't know.
That's wild card game 1.
I know we don't know if we're bringing in the grandmas to come over and help. All we know is like people have said to my wife, "Oh, what's your plan and what's his paternity leave plan?" And she goes, "We don't know what's happening in October."
I mean, that's the crazy part of working in baseball, of course, but. You know, I almost think that this group, especially the core pillars of it, Alonso, Nimmo, Lindor, a lot of the guys on the pitching side of things, Alvarez, Vientos, Beatty, who, by the way, cannot say enough great things about Brett Beatty.
What a third baseman.
How he has stepped up at third base on both sides of the ball. This team has been through it. Yeah. And, you know, that's I think that matters a lot. Like the Cubs team, yes, Kyle Tucker is a World Series champion, but a lot of those Cubs have not been through it. I think that the experience of, hey, it's now or never, guys. Like, we got to just win some games. I saw Pedro Martinez because Tuesday's game was a TBS game.
I saw it, yeah.
So the TBS studio guys were, you know, in on the Mets and the Padres, and Pedro put out, as he usually does, a lot of tweets, gave us his thoughts on the Mets. Pedro believes in the Mets wholeheartedly.
And he's just talking to them a lot.
And it is a team that, as we've said, has a track record. You know, I feel like the Lindor Grand Slam against the Phillies last year, I feel like I don't appreciate it enough. In the moment, like that is an all-time home run. Pete Alonso's home run against the Brewers, an all-time home run. Now, don't get me wrong, Pete's was bigger than Lindor's because there was no tomorrow. We've had that debate here on the show.
That's not even the debate we had.
Well,
yeah, it was the Braves. No, the debate.
Oh, yeah.
Is the Braves. But I agree with you. I keep seeing people post the Lindor Grand Slam, and I go back and I'm like, and in real time, I'm not going to act like I didn't appreciate it in real time. In real time, I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, huge moment.
I almost passed out from the screaming.
Sure.
But like every time I see that, one, how big of a deal it was to just put a foot in the throat. And two, if you remember, the end of that game was not like easy peasy.
I mean, a Grand Slam, you cannot score more points with one play than a Grand Slam.
And if you remember, when Kyle Schwarber was up at the end of that game, it was scary.
Well, also, the Mets had multiple opportunities against Ranger Suarez earlier in that game and stranded runners in the first inning and the second inning. The bases were left loaded.
Yeah.
And no one talks about it, but had the Mets not advanced that night and had the series gone back to Philadelphia, Zach Wheeler was looming on Yom Kippur. It was going to be a potentially very, very tough night for everyone in Mets Nation. And
it was Lindor, like 86 in the NLCS thinking about having to face Mike Scott.
And Lindor hits a grand slam. But like he's been there, he's done that. And last year he saved his best for last. He's had another great season. Right on the cusp of 30 home runs. What more can you say about Francisco? Gold Glove defense, all the accolades. That's a guy that like come postseason, come the moment, whether it's game 161, 162, an NLCS, an NLDS, a wild card round, whatever, you know you can rely on him. Juan Soto is going to set his career high for home runs. He has 41 right now, one swing away from setting that career high. Everyone said, oh, he's leaving the Bronx, the short porch. He'll never hit for power like that again. He's going to hit more home runs this year than he did last year. That's great. Pete Alonso, 40 is well within reach. He's now 3 shy. He has hit a home run in 4 straight games.
Crazy.
We all know one of the biggest home runs in Mets history that he hit last year. Francisco Alvarez going opposite field last night, or Wednesday night, I should say. Oops.
And also, Pete, at this time last year, we were saying
this could be it.
Pete could heat up.
Oh,
Pete
yes.
could get hot.
Yes.
Pete could hit a few home runs. Pete could go on a 4 or 5 home run streak. Pete is doing it right now.
Yeah, I mean, Pete's having a great year. He's locked in. I'm not worried about Pete whatsoever. This time last year, he was struggling a lot.
That's what I'm saying. It's a very different scenario, man. Like last year was very much like 2015, where when the team was getting close to the playoffs, you were just like, if they get in and they win around, they go to the NLDS, it would be sick. And they just went on a run that you didn't expect. This year, this team really, it feels a lot more like a threat than last year.
I also think that, the young pitchers, namely Nolan McLean, Brandon Sproat, people, especially outsiders, might not know what to truly expect from these guys. They've blown past their innings limits, and But these guys are difference makers that the Mets have done a great job developing. And a guy like Nolan McLean, earlier in the year, I don't think he was ready to face lefties, a lineup stacked of lefties. And they worked on different weapons to send him to the big leagues to be ready to face a lineup stacked with lefties like the Phillies and Harper and Stott and Schwarber, and throwing that hip shot, that backdoor two-seam sinker that we saw McLean have success with when we were at PC Richard & Son.
Yeah.
The May version of Nolan McLean wasn't ready with that. So an AJ Sager down in Binghamton and the entire support staff, Eric Jagers, they've done a great job getting these guys ready for now, for these big moments, for potential postseason start. Let's talk about Jonah Tong on Thursday, because that is, I think, the biggest part of this series.
Wait, how about this?
How about this?
How about we do a top 5 real quick?
Go for it.
Just throw it out.
We got to do it.
This is the top 5 moments of Mets Padres presented by PC Richard & Son. We're going to start off with the number 5 moment, and that is, like we just brought up, Juan Soto matches his career high with 41 home runs.
Yeah, I mean, I just said it a few moments ago, but the first year in Queens, 33 steals, 100 RBI, which he accomplished on Thursday, 100 walks. I need to see him and his impact in October. Again, I said this a couple episodes ago. When he's in October, his teams have success. They win rounds. That's what he does, because he is such a difference maker. It is a team sport. It is a 26-man roster. There's pitching, there's hitting, there's defense. This guy makes a larger individual impact, I would say, than most anybody else in Major League Baseball. And he is a New York Met, so we need to see him in a New York Met uniform making that impact in October. What's number 4?
Number 4 moment, Brandon Nimmo, like John said before, absolute game record, 3-1 home run to put the Mets ahead and never look back.
Brandon can do so many different things. Beginning of his career, he was an on-base guy. OBP around 400, can absolutely work a tough at-bat, a tough plate appearance, and he has developed as a more prolific power hitter as his career has gone on. He now has 24 home runs. That has matched his career high. Hey, a hot end here, he could reach 100 RBI. I think he's only like 13 shy right now. So Brandon hitting further down in the lineup. Obviously, Lindor, the switch that was made mid-May last year, not the leadoff guy, a different focus, a different responsibility, different role in the lineup, but he is a difference maker, like you said. And for him to hit the 3-run home run against the lefty, by the way, with 2 strikes on Thursday, wrecked the game, really put that game to bed. He's had a really, really good season and a really good series against the Padres.
All right, number 3, you go to McDonald's, right? You get a combo meal?
Sure.
Number 3 moment is the new combo meal that the New York Mets have of Clay Holmes and Sean Minaya, the new piggyback, the tandem. We saw it work all the way back against Kansas City right before the All-Star break, and I feel like fans were fiending for that to come back. It came back, and it went so well. And I'm even somebody who, I texted our group chat when Clay Holmes came out, and I even said, I would have even looked at Clay Holmes go another inning. Didn't matter, because Sean Manaea came in with that confidence he had from his last start, went 5 innings and just looked spectacular. It's a recipe for success, dude.
It is, and Sean in the 2 starts, or excuse me, the 2 games where the Mets have gone this route, he has been great, hasn't walked a single batter. I think 8 2/3 innings pitched, 11 strikeouts, no walks, 2 runs allowed. He's really done well in the role, and he has pitched in relief prior in his career. As a Padre, he came out of the bullpen a little bit, so he's been able to do it, and what I love about it is the 2 guys are such different looks. Yeah. Clay is a heavy sinker, right-handed pitcher, and Sean is, different arm angles, slider away to the lefties, that kind of cut fastball in on righties. It's worked. It seems to be something that the Mets obviously wanted to deploy against a good team in the Padres. Clearly, the Mets are thinking this might be a part of our game plan come the postseason. 2 starts or 2 times so far. 1 late July, 1 here in September. The results have been good. I like it, and congrats to the Manayas on their birth of their new baby.
Absolutely,
and
man.
the Taylors.
Congrats to both families. I did not get to see Tyrone before the birth, but I saw Sean a few weeks ago, and he was in that point where you're in the last few weeks, and you're like, yeah, any appointment I go to could be the day it happens right now. So great point. Congrats to Sean. Congrats to Tyrone. But the number 2 moment, our guy Jonah Tong having the bounce back game that he did in game 2, 8 strikeouts, 5 innings, no earned runs. And you talk about that piggyback and that opposite kind of routes of attack with Sean Minaya and Clay Holmes. You see the Mets deploying that as well with Jonah Tong. and Tyler Rogers, who obviously you got Jonah Tong coming from the highest point in baseball, and you got Tyler Rogers coming from one of the lowest points in baseball. And John, did you see what Steve Gelb said that Sean Manaea and Jonah Tong, the conversation they had of Sean Manaea went up to Jonah after that struggling start the other day and said, "What's on your mind?" Jonah Tong gives him everything he has to say. And then Sean's like, "Hey man, everybody has bad days. That guy over there, Jacob deGrom, he's had bad days." And it just shows you that the numbers aside from Sean Manaea from last year, there are intangibles and there's reasons that Sean Manaea was brought back, because there's no official team captain right now because this team has so many captains. You have a guy like Francisco Lindor, who's the infield captain. You have a guy like Brandon Nimmo, who goes out of his way to do every single thing. He talks to all the kids. He does all the charity events. He goes out of his way to do everything. And then you have Sean Manaea, who's like the captain of the pitchers, able to give them that advice, do the pitcher celebration. It's just that there is such a aspect to what this clubhouse has it's unmatched. But Jonah, we knew it.
Well, Jonah Tong has actually been here before. And if you pay attention to the minor leagues, Jonah Tong had a start like this in Double-A last year, where he did not get out of the first inning. And I think that was brought up to him. And I think when he had that start in the minors, he was talked to and was asked, "Hey, what do you think went wrong? And what do you think you need to do to avoid this from happening in the future?" And from there, he was one of the best pitchers in the minor leagues throughout the rest of the 2024 season and all year this year. So Jonah Tong, number one, is clearly a guy who learns from his experiences. Talk about the importance of failure in the minor leagues. On Thursday, 8 strikeouts, 5 innings, no walks. Mets pitching didn't walk a single guy on Thursday. Love that. For Jonah, part of his issue in Cincinnati a couple Saturdays ago was he allowed one of his 3 home runs with a guy on base. He allowed 3 hits. They were all home runs, 2 solo, 1 2-run home run to Sal Stewart. And Friday against the Rangers, he had some bouts with control issues. The hits he allowed were soft. Little parachutes in the right field, center field, bloopers over McNeil's head in front of Soto. Didn't allow much hard contact, but he put himself in a corner. He is a guy right now at 22 years old who likes to throw his fastball. It is a major league pitch. It carved through a very good lineup in the San Diego Padres on Thursday because of the shape. It is a very unique pitch because the release point, the shape of it, the induced vertical break is elite. He can virtually only throw that pitch and have success. But he's got to throw strikes. He's got to be around the strike zone. And then when he's ahead in the count, he can throw the curveball, which we saw a little bit more of today.
We did.
Or the changeup, which we saw a little bit more of on Thursday.
No barrels on the curveball, I think, tonight either.
When he's able to get ahead and then mix those pitches in, he's now planting a seed of doubt in the hitter's head. They have to protect against something else. That will make Jonah Tong a dominant pitcher in this sport. So a huge bounce back. First day game, by the way. The lighting's different. A little sunshine. I'm sure it's very difficult to pick the ball up out of his hand, that rising fastball. But the chutzpah that he showed, the you know why, to bounce back, shake off that start. A lot of people on Twitter, online, writing him off. He's not ready. Looked pretty ready to me. So great outing for Jonah Tong. That was pretty cool to watch.
It was incredible, man. It was an important moment for him. And it's crazy to think he had a moment. His Jacob deGrom moment was against Jacob deGrom against the Rangers.
Terry Collins, arm around him. Yeah, but you know what? It was almost, I'm sure, one day, 10 years from now, we'll talk to Jonah Tong. Yeah. And he might tell us it was the most important thing of his career to have that start, because I'm sure you go from being the best pitcher in Double-A, 2 starts in Triple-A, you dominate, all of a sudden the major league team calls you up in the middle of a pennant race.
Yeah.
Everyone needs a little bit of humble pie, but he bounced back, and it's incredible.
It was awesome. And like I said, Jonah, we knew.
What's number one?
Number one moment. We talked about it. I think it's very obvious. Pete Alonso, 4th straight game, goes yard. And he did us a favor and did it early to just give those seeds of doubt, just push him away. But Pete Alonso's having one of his most fun years as a Met, dude.
120 RBI, 37 home runs. And and he's hitting some absolute moonshots. Thursday's homer on 445 feet. He's using all fields, which if you listen to the show, if Pete Alonso's going right field, center field, he is locked in. He's on one right now, and it really makes this lineup very, very dangerous on Tuesday night. Beating up on Michael King, a very, very good pitcher. Love to see that. So Pete in the middle of the lineup. You got Beatty going. You got Alvarez homering. We know Jeff McNeil's had a great year. 1 through 9, dangerous this Mets lineup. But when you got Pete Alonso in the middle of the lineup, Pete, Soto, and Dort at the top, tough lineup to navigate. So this is why we're confident. We're not just saying it. We're confident because we've seen it, and because we've seen a meeting like last year, and I think there's another notch. There's another notch here. And because we know that this pitching is better than we've seen the last month, and the Mets are going to be able to do what they want to do with their pitching, because we're not going through the rotation 6 days. It's going to be a sprint, a best of 3, a best of 5, a best of 7, you game plan. And we've seen teams do it. There's a blueprint. So that's what excites me. Take 2 or 3 from the Padres. Nationals coming to town. Mets dropped 2 or 3 in DC about a month ago.
Before we move on to the Nationals, do want to give a shout out, friend of the show.
Yeah.
So proud, so happy. Dom Hamill made his major league debut. And you could see it on his face when he was walking out there. Just, it was a really cool moment to see. And no matter what happens through the rest of the season, whatever Dom's journey is, I love that Dom is the record breaker for the most pitchers used in a single season by a team. Dom Hamill is the name that will be attached to it. Dom's got a 0 ERA in the majors, and I just wanted to make sure to give him a shout out.
Yeah, long time coming, but I think Dom's going to have a really long career. I remember, Chris Flexen came up back in 2019. He's been in the majors for a while. Dom throws 5 pitches. He's got great stuff. So
got spin.
Certainly, spin rate god. So great to see. Finally, he makes his debut. He had been called up last week. Waited, was up with the team early August. Didn't get in a game. So congrats to Dom and his family on a really big milestone. So, but like I was talking, Nationals, take care of your business. That's it. It's going to be obviously a packed house here at Citi Field. Last home weekend, guys. We need you out here. Be here. November is going to come. December, January, February, March. We're going to be yearning for the boozy buckets, the cookie buckets, the hot dogs, the steak sandwiches, the high fives with the strangers.
The paninis.
Section.
The paninis are great. I just want to give a shout out. The paninis are fantastic. If you're
all the food. And think about this. You talk about the food. What's New feels like yesterday. The What's New event where we sample all the new food and what's at Citi Field. That literally, when you think about it, feels like yesterday.
A baseball season is bizarre because What's New feels like yesterday, but Griffin Canning going down feels like 3 years ago.
But it goes by so quickly. And we've got 3 more regular season games here. So, what left?
That's bizarre to hear.
What left? There's nothing left to wait for. Be here. Support your team. These guys need you. We all need you. And, I always remember, I always think about how much fun last October was at Citi Field. And we all want it so bad. But no one wants it more bad than those guys in the clubhouse. And hopefully they...
Juan Soto said it best. Tomorrow's too late.
And these guys know it. And there are a lot of
leaders. And they showed up today. They did it. Tomorrow was too late today.
And there's a lot of leaders. Look, like you said, they could have lost yesterday. And, we lost 2 or 3. But, hey, the Diamondbacks and Reds and Giants, they're all struggling. And the Diamondbacks have a tough schedule. And the Giants have to go to Dodger Stadium for 4 games. The Reds don't have an easy schedule either. No. Take care of it. Win your way into the playoffs. I don't want to. I know we talked about this before. I don't even want to give a number that I think will get the Mets there. Go 7-2 over the last 9 games. That's it. Just forget it. Go get hot. Have a good off day, a good workout day, wherever you're playing, and let's get to work. So that's what I think. But it all starts this weekend. Sprode on Friday, McLean on Saturday. It's always fun. Friday night crowd. Friday night, Citi Field. Last home game, home night game, I should say.
Wow.
Last home night game is Friday night. We love Friday nights here at Citi Field. Black jerseys.
Last BP. Last night game. Wow.
Don't miss it, guys. Because remember, you're going to yearn for it.
Last
when the weather's
mid-6
bad,
mayhem.
And the Jets are fighting for 3 wins.
No, over the whole course of the year?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was saying.
Brett Beatty, not good at predicting Jets wins and losses. I think we're going to find out.
He did have the Jets losing this weekend.
Are we going to go to a game this year?
I don't know. Let's wrap it up. I have an errand to run.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, like, review, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your Mets podcast. I'm on Twitter at Vitor Felici, John at JMB9191. But like I say every week, type it out. Leave a 5-star review on Apple. Write out a review. You really do not understand how much it helps us. It really does. We will see you guys Sunday afternoon. I mean, you'll see it Monday morning after the Mets' final homestand. Thank you guys for listening.
I got to do the thing.
I didn't finish yet.
Oh, okay.
And if you're not here, you're going to be watching that game on your TV. And I know where you bought your TV from.
I'm going to PC Richard & Son, by the way, because I get the guaranteed lowest prices and the friendliest and the most knowledgeable sales staff. That's a triple play of good things for me. And they've got everything you need. So whether it's a new pair of AirPod Pro 3s, perhaps, they'll have it for you. Whether it's a new video game system or a TV like Vito mentioned, or any of the other great products that our friends at PC Richard & Son have, they've got a vast, wide variety of products, and they will take care of you. The guaranteed lowest price, and they have been doing it longer than anybody else in the game since 1909. So check out our friends at PC Richard & Son, who got a little extra pub, by the way. I didn't mention that last week, but now I'm going to mention that, make a little joke. You know what I'm talking about. Check them out. That's it. I had to get it in. Sorry. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Mets Nationals. Be here at Citi Field. You need to.